Ever wondered what secrets lie beneath the surface of history? Today we'll dive into the depths of the historical mystery iceberg, where each layer reveals astonishing stories, forgotten legends, and unsolved enigmas that defy explanation. Now, before we begin, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know if you guys enjoyed the video, as it really helps out the channel. Tier 1. Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper remains one of history's most infamous and elusive criminals. His reign of terror in London's East End during the late 19th century left a dark legacy that continues to captivate and mystify. Between August and November of 1888, Jack the Ripper brutally murdered at least 5 women, all of whom were prostitutes living in the impoverished area of Whitechapel. These murders were not only gruesome, but exhibited a disturbing knowledge of human anatomy, as the Ripper often removed organs from his victims. The identity of Jack the Ripper has never been confirmed. Despite numerous theories that have emerged over the years, more than 100 suspects have been proposed, ranging from well-known figures like the Victorian painter Walter Sticker to a Polish migrant or even royalty. Each theory contributes to the complex tapestry of folklore and pseudo-history that surrounds the Ripper case. Jack's victims, known as the Canonical Five, were Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. Their murders are linked through a pattern of sadistic violence that suggested a deep-seated animosity towards women. For example, Annie Chapman's body was found with severe mutilations. Her intestines had been placed over her shoulder, and a section of her abdomen was removed, displaying the killer's brutal method of operation. The Whitechapel area during this time was notorious for its squalor and crime, heavily populated by immigrants and plagued by social unrest. This environment, combined with ineffective policing and sensational journalism of the time, created a fertile ground for Jack the Ripper's crimes to shock and horrify the public. The police investigation was hampered by a lack of cooperation between different police forces and the absence of advanced forensic techniques, which prevented the case from being solved. Intriguingly, Jack the Ripper's identity was shrouded in mystery partly due to the cryptic communications possibly sent by him to the police, including letters and notoriously half a human kidney accompanying one such letter. These communications contributed to the growing legend of Jack the Ripper, turning the murderer into a figure of almost mythological proportions. Roanoke Colony. The Roanoke Colony, often referred to as the Last Colony, is one of the oldest unsolved mysteries in American history. Established in 1587 under the charter from Queen Elizabeth I, the colony was England's first attempt at a permanent settlement in North America. The colony was located on Roanoke Island, off the coast of present-day North Carolina. However, when the colony's governor, John White, returned in 1590 after a delayed supply trip from England, he found the settlement deserted, with no clear indication of the fate of the 115 settlers, including his family and Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the Americas. The only clue left behind was the word Croatoan, carved into a wooden post, and CRO into a tree, hinting at a possible movement to the nearby Croatoan Island, home to a friendly Native American tribe of the same name. Despite this clue, subsequent investigations and searches provided no definitive answers. Over the years, multiple theories have emerged regarding the fate of the settlers, including possibilities that they were either assimilated with local Native American tribes, killed, or lost at sea while trying to return to England. Further deepening the mystery, archaeological findings over the years have suggested intermittent European presence in the area post-1590. For instance, a 2012 discovery revealed a map with a hidden wart symbol that might indicate where some colonists could have relocated. Recent archaeological digs have unearthed items like European pottery and weapons in regions around Roanoke Island, which may suggest either continued European activity or that some colonists survived and integrated with the Native Americans. Easter Island. Easter Island, also known as Rapa Nui, is renowned for its monumental statues called Moai, which were created by the early Polynesian inhabitants of the island. These statues are believed to represent the ancestors of Rapa Nui people, and stand on ceremonial platforms known as ahu. The island itself, located in the southeastern Pacific Ocean, is a remote volcanic island and was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site due to its rich history and cultural significance. The island was first settled by Polynesians around 1200 CE. According to recent studies, although estimates vary, these settlers developed a complex society and impressive architectural feats despite the island's isolated location and limited resources. Over time, however, The society faced significant challenges, including deforestation, possibly exacerbated by the introduction of the Polynesian rat, which impacted the island's ecosystem. European contact began with the arrival of Dutch explorer Jacob Roggeveen on Easter Sunday in 1722, which is how the island got its name. Subsequent visits by Spanish and French explorers noted a declining population, which was exacerbated by slave raids and diseases introduced by Europeans. By the late 19th century, the indigenous population had drastically reduced due to these external pressures. The Moai statues themselves are carved from volcanic rock and are notable not only for their size, but also for the intricate way that they were constructed and transported. Legend suggests the statues were moved using mana, or spiritual power, although archaeologists suggest they might have been transported using logs, sledges, and ropes. The eye sockets of the Moai were covered on site and were inset with coral and obsidian during ceremonies to awaken the statues. Nasca Lines. The Nasca Lines, a series of large ancient geoglyphs located in the Nasca Desert of southern Peru, represent one of the most fascinating legacies of the Nasca culture, which flourished between 200 BCE and 600 CE. These remarkable drawings, which include more than 800 straight lines, 300 geometric figures, and 70 animal and plant designs, cover an area of about 450 square kilometers. Their scale is so massive that they are best seen from the air, and they have mystified scientists, historians, and visitors for centuries. The purpose of the Nasca Lines has been the subject of intense debate, and various theories have been proposed over the years. Initially, they were thought to be trail markers or part of an astronomical character used to mark the solstice, as suggested by researchers like Maria Riesch, who devoted much of her life to studying these lines. More recently, some scholars have suggested that the geoglyphs could have had religious or ritual significance, possibly related to water worship in this arid region. This theory is supported by the proximity of the lines to ancient water sources and the depiction of water animals in the geoglyphs. Advanced irrigation systems and aqueducts are indicative of the Nasca's sophisticated engineering capabilities, which allow them to thrive in the harsh desert environment. The construction of the lines involving removing the top layer of rock to reveal the lighter soil underneath, which contrasts with the surrounding terrain. This method also helped preserve the designs through centuries, as the climate in this region is one of the driest on Earth, while little wind and rain to erode the figures. Stonehenge. Stonehenge, located on Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire, England, is one of the world's most famous prehistoric monuments, dating back to around 3000 BC. This massive stone circle has captivated scholars and visitors alike, sparking debate and research into its origins and purposes. The construction of Stonehenge occurred in several phases, spanning roughly 1500 years. The earliest structure on the site was a simple earthwork or a henge, consisting of a circular ditch and bank, with iconic sarsen stones and smaller bluestones being added later. The monument's layout includes a ring of standing sarsen stones, each topped with a lintel stone, enclosing a circle of smaller bluestones. Inside these are freestanding trilithons, arranged in a horseshoe shape. The origins of the Stonehenge's builders are still a matter of debate. Early theories suggested it could have been constructed by the Druids or even by extraterrestrial influences, but these ideas have since been debunked. Modern archaeological evidence suggests that the builders of Stonehenge were the indigenous peoples of the British Isles, with possible contributions from groups migrating from continental Europe. DNA analysis indicates that some of these individuals could have had origins as far-reaching as the Mediterranean or Wales. The purpose of Stonehenge is equally mysterious. While initially thought to be a temple or astronomical calculator, more recent theories suggest it served multiple roles. These include functioning as a burial site, a place of healing, a domain of the dead in a broader ritual landscape, as a center for prehistoric chiefdom gatherings. Each theory reflects the complex social and religious practices of Neolithic and Bronze Age populations. Stonehenge's construction and use reflect a society with complex social structures and spiritual life, capable of organizing the labor required to transport and erect stones weighing up to 25 tons. The site aligns with the sun's solstice, indicating a deep understanding of astronomy. The Dancing Plague of 1518. The Dancing Plague of 1518 is a bizarre historical event that occurred in Strasbourg, Alsace, which was then part of the Holy Roman Empire. In July of that year, a woman named Frau Trophia began dancing in the streets without any apparent reason, and her dancing lasted for days. What started with one individual soon escalated as hundreds of other people joined in, dancing uncontrollably for days and weeks. This phenomenon persisted through August, with reports suggesting that many of the dancers died from exhaustion, strokes, or heart attacks due to non-stop movement. Historians and scientists have proposed several explanations for this strange event. One common theory suggests that the dancing was a result of mass hysteria or a psychogenic illness, possibly triggered by the extreme stress and hardship caused by severe famine and diseases affecting the region at that time. Another theory posits that the dancers could have been suffering from ergotism, a condition caused by consuming ergot-contaminated rye. Ergot is a fungus that can produce symptoms similar to those of LSD, including hallucinations and convulsions, which might explain the uncontrollable dancing. Local authorities at the time believed the plague was a result of hot blood and encouraged more dancing to cure the affliction, a method that obviously proved ineffective. It was not until the dancers were taken to a shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus, who was believed to have the power to curse people with dancing mania, that the dancing subsided. The event has been documented in several contemporary records, highlighting the realness and severity of this epidemic. The Man of the Iron Mask. The Man in the Iron Mask, an enigmatic figure from French history, was imprisoned during the reign of Louis XIV and remains a subject of fascination and speculation centuries later. Historically, he was known as Eustache Daguerre and was incarcerated in 1669, spending several decades in various prisons including the notorious Bastille. The true identity of the Man in the Iron Mask has never been definitely established, leading to numerous theories about who he could be. Among the speculated identities are a valet caught up in a political intrigue, an Italian count named Matteo who had crossed Louis XIV, and even more dramatic rumors suggested he might be the king's twin brother or another close relative. Although these theories lack solid historical evidence and are largely fueled by fictional accounts and romanticized tales. Contrary to popular belief and literacy depictions by authors by Alexandre Dumas and Voltaire, the mask the prisoner wore was not iron but black velvet, and it was not worn all the time, but only occasionally to prevent him from being recognized. This detail points to the sensitive nature of his identity or the information he possessed. The reason for his strict and secretive confinement, under orders that he'd be killed if he revealed anything other than his immediate needs, remains a mystery, adding to the aura that surrounds his legend. His treatment in prison was harsh, his needs were barely met, and any semblance of comfort was denied. Voynich manuscript. The Voynich manuscript housed a Yale University's Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library. The Voynich manuscript, housed at Yale's University Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library, is a profound historical enigma dating back to the early 15th century. This manuscript is particularly famous for its unique script and bizarre illustrations that no one has yet deciphered, despite the efforts of many expert cryptographers and scholars through the centuries. The manuscript is composed of about 240 pages, although some pages are missing. It features a wide range of illustrations divided into several thematic sections: botanicals, astronomical and astrological charts, biological scenes, cosmological diagrams, and pharmaceutical depictions, accompanied by text in an unknown language that scholars refer to as Voynichese. Each section includes intricate drawings such as unidentified plants, astronomical symbols, and curious diagrams involving human figures, often with elaborate connections between them. Historically, the Voynich manuscript's origins are traceable to Central Europe, specifically Italy during the Renaissance, and it has passed through numerous hands over the centuries. It was once believed to be the work of the English philosopher Roger Bacon. Though this theory has been dismissed due to the manuscript's dating, it first surfaced in recorded history from the collection of Emperor Rudolf II of Germany, who thought it contained secret wisdom worth 600 gold ducats. The manuscript's journey continued through the various owners, including Jacobus Horkiki de Tepanek, and eventually the Jesuit College at Frascati, from which Wilfrid Voynich, a book dealer, acquired it in 1912. Despite the extensive study, the Voynich manuscript remains largely a mystery, fueling theories ranging from it being an elaborate hoax to a genuine yet undeciphered communication. Its script, although bearing structural similarities to known languages, has resisted all cryptographic analysis attempted by both historical and modern scholars. The allure of the Voynich manuscript lies not just in the challenge of its decryption, but also in the rich illustrations that suggest a deep understanding of botanical and astronomical knowledge from its time of creation. Tier 2. Green Children of Woolpit. The Green Children of Woolpit is a captivating legend from the 12th century, originating from the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, England. According to historical accounts, two children, a boy and a girl, appeared mysteriously in the village. What made them particularly remarkable was their green skin and the fact that they spoke an unknown language. The children were discovered by the villagers beside one of Woolpit's wolf trapping pits, dressed in unfamiliar clothing. After being taken in by a local landowner, Sir Richard de Calne, the children initially refused all food except for green beans, which they consumed voraciously. Over time, as they adapted to a normal diet, the green tint of their skin faded. While the boy unfortunately died shortly after their arrival, the girl survived, learned English, and integrated into society. She relayed that they came from a place called St. Martin's Land, a twilight-lit world distinct from our own, suggesting they might have come from an underground or otherworldly realm. Several theories have been proposed to explain the phenomenon of the green children. One suggests they suffer from hypochromic anemia, also known as chlorosis, which could explain their greenish skin tone due to poor diet. Another hypothesis considers them to be Flemish orphans, possibly from a nearby place known as Fornham St. Martin, explaining their strange language as Flemish and the green skin as a symptom of malnutrition. The story has also been interpreted through a folkloric lens, viewing the children as otherworldly beings or fairies from a mystical realm, reflecting medieval beliefs about supernatural occurrences. Others have even speculated about extraterrestrial origins, particularly in modern interpretations, likening the tale to more contemporary descriptions of alien encounters. The Turin Shroud. The Shroud of Turin, a linen cloth that perpetually bears the image of Jesus Christ, has been a subject of intrigue and veneration for centuries. Its origins and authenticity are hotly debated topics among historians, scientists, and theologians. Historically, the shroud first appeared in the historical record around the mid-14th century. It is believed to have been in the possession of the French knight Geoffroy de Charny around 1353 to 1357. It became more widely known after 1357 when it was displayed in Tarrare, France. Critics such as the Bishop of Troyes argued that the shroud was a painted forgery, a claim substantiated by a memorandum from Bishop Pierre d'Arachis to Antipope Clement VII in 1389, stating that the image had been cunningly painted. Scientifically, the shroud has been the subject of numerous studies. A pivotal investigation in 1978 by the Shroud of Turin Research Project utilized various scientific techniques, finding no evidence of pigments or dyes that would have suggested a painted image. The researchers proposed that the image was created through some kind of oxidation or dehydration of the linen fibers, possibly by an intense but brief burst of radiation. This hypothesis was considered to explain the shroud's 3D imaging qualities and the superficiality of the image, affecting only the topmost fibers. In 1988, radiocarbon dating tests performed independently by labs in Oxford, Zurich, and Arizona dated the shroud to the period 1260 to 1390 AD, suggesting a medieval origin. However, these results have been contested, with some researchers proposing that the samples used might have been contaminated or not representative of the whole cloth. Kaspar Hauser. Kaspar Hauser is one of the 19th century's most perplexing mysteries. He appeared in Nuremberg, Germany in 1828 as a teenager. It's a backstory that captured the imagination of Europe. Hauser claimed to have grown up in the isolation of a darkened cell, with minimal human contact and surviving on a diet of bread and water, sometimes drugged to induce deeper sleep. Upon his discovery, he was barely able to walk or talk, and his physical and mental state suggests a severe long-term deprivation. The intrigue surrounding Hauser deepened due to rumors of his possible noble lineage, specifically linking him to the House of Baden. These rumors posited that he might have been swapped at birth with a dying baby to alter the line of succession. Despite various investigations and intense public scrutiny, no conclusive evidence ever verified his claims of royal descent. Throughout his brief period of freedom, Hauser's life was marked by mysterious injuries. He reported attacks, including one in which he was cut on the forehead and another involving a stabbing that eventually led to his death in 1833. These incidents, often considered self-inflicted by skeptics, only added layers to the mystery of his identity and past. Scientific examinations over the years, including DNA analysis, have attempted to uncover the truth about Hauser's origins. However, these have proven inclusive, leaving his lineage and early life shrouded in mystery. The narrative complexities surrounding Hauser include occasions of him being a habitual liar, which has further complicated efforts to discern the truth. Sea Peoples. The Sea Peoples remain one of the most enigmatic groups in ancient history, stirring debates and intrigue among historians and archaeologists alike. Emerging in the late Bronze Age, around 1200 BCE, the Sea Peoples are often credited with contributing to the collapse of several powerful Mediterranean civilizations, including the Hittite Empire and the Mycenaean civilization and the Egyptian New Kingdom. Their origins are shrouded in mystery, with theories suggesting they might have come from regions as diverse as the Aegean, Anatolia, or even the Western Mediterranean. Accounts of the Sea Peoples primarily come from Egyptian records, particularly the inscriptions and reliefs of Pharaoh Ramses III, who describe their invasions in great detail. The Egyptians referred to them by various names, such as Peleset, Sheker, Shekelish, Denyen, and Washish, each possibly representing different tribes or groups within the broader confederation of Sea Peoples. These records depict fierce battles on both land and sea, with the Sea Peoples portrayed as formidable warriors equipped with distinctive weaponry and armor, including horned helmets and round shields. One of the most captivating aspects of the Sea Peoples is their sudden and violent appearance in the historical record. They are described as sweeping through the eastern Mediterranean, attacking coastal cities and disrupting trade routes. Their raids and migrations contributed to widespread destruction and the eventual downfall of several established societies. This period of upheaval, known as the Late Bronze Age collapse, saw the decline of major urban centers, a decrease in literacy, and a significant loss of cultural and economic continuity. Archaeological evidence of the Sea Peoples is limited, adding to their mysterious allure. Some sites show signs of abrupt destruction and abandonment, which are attributed to their invasions. Pottery shards, weapon fragments, and remnants of fortifications hint at their presence, but do not provide a clear picture of their origin or ultimate fate. The lack of written records from the Sea Peoples themselves further obscures our understanding, leaving much of their story to be pieced together through the accounts of those they encountered and fought against. Theories about the origins of the Sea Peoples are diverse and often speculative. Some scholars propose that they were displaced populations fleeing environmental disasters, economic hardship, or political turmoil in their homelands. Others suggest they were bands of mercenaries or pirates who took advantage of the weakening states to carve out new territories for themselves. Despite numerous hypotheses, no definitive evidence has conclusively pinpointed their origins or explained their sudden rise to power. Long Man of Wilmington. The Long Man of Wilmington is an enigmatic and colossal hill figure located on the steep slopes of Windover Hill in East Sussex, England. The striking chalk figure, standing at an impressive height of 69.2 meters, depicts a tall, stylized human figure holding a staff in each hand. The origins and purpose of the Long Man of Wilmington are shrouded in mystery, with historians and archaeologists debating its age, creators, and significance. The first recorded mention of the Long Man dates back to the early 18th century, when antiquarian John Rowley made a sketch of the figure in 1710. However, the figure is believed to be much older, potentially dating back to prehistoric times or the early medieval period. Some theories propose that it might be a relic from the Neolithic or Bronze Age, possibly serving as a territorial mark, a religious symbol, or a representation of a deity. Others suggest it could have been created by Saxon settlers or even during the Roman occupation of Britain. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Long Man of Wilmington is its design. Unlike other chalk figures in England, such as the Cerne Abbas giant, the Long Man lacks any facial features or detailed anatomy, giving it an abstract and almost otherworldly appearance. This unique style has led to various interpretations of its meaning. Some scholars believe it represents a guardian figure or a warrior, while others think it could be a depiction of a fertility god or an ancient symbol of strength and protection. The figure's precise and symmetrical form suggests that its creators possessed considerable skill and knowledge in surveying and geometry. The Long Man was originally created by cutting deep trenches into the hillside and filling them with crushed chalk. Over the centuries, the figure has undergone several restorations to maintain its visibility, the most significant being in 1874 when it was outlined with yellow bricks, and later in 1969 when it was restored with white concrete blocks. The Long Man of Wilmington continues to be a focal point for culture and spiritual activities, pagans and modern druids often visit the site, especially during solstices and equinoxes, to perform rituals and ceremonies. These gatherings highlight the figure's ongoing cultural and spiritual significance in contemporary times. Screaming Mummy. The Screaming Mummy, also known as Unknown Man E, is one of Egypt's most intriguing and mysterious mummies, discovered in 1886 in the Deir el-Bahari necropolis. The mummy stands out due to its unusual and macabre appearance. The face appears contorted in a silent scream, with the mouth agape and the body wrapped in sheepskin. A material considered impure by ancient Egyptians. The stark contrast to the typical elaborate mummification practices has led to much speculation and debate among historians and Egyptologists. One theory suggests that the Screaming Mummy could be Prince Pentawere, the son of Pharaoh Ramses III, who was implicated in a plot to assassinate his father. Historical records from the Judicial Papyrus of Turin describe a conspiracy led by one of Ramses III's wives, Tai, and their son Pentawere. The plot failed, and Pentawere was forced to commit suicide as punishment. This theory is supported by recent CT scans and DNA analysis, which indicate that the Screaming Mummy might indeed belong to someone of royal lineage. The contorted expression of the mummy has fueled various interpretations. Some scholars believe that the facial expression could be a result of the body's position during decomposition, as the jaw might have dropped after death. Others speculate that it could be indicative of a violent or traumatic death, possibly poisoning or suffocation, aligning with the story of Pentaware's forced suicide. Adding to the mystery, the sheepskin wrapping suggests that the individual might have been deliberately denied the traditional burial rites due to their perceived impurity or disgrace, consistent with a punishment for high treason. This type of burial was atypical for someone of royal blood, further emphasizing the unique circumstances surrounding this individual's death. In another twist, there are debates about whether the Screaming Mummy's unusual burial was a mark of dishonor or a reflection of his high status and the dramatic circumstances of his death. The body was found among others in a royal cache, suggesting that despite the unconventional mummification, he was still afforded a place among the elite, possibly indicating a complex narrative of crime, punishment, and posthumous recognition. Princes in the Tower. The Princes in the Tower refers to one of England's most enduring historical mysteries, involving the disappearance of two young princes, Edward V and his younger brother Richard, Duke of York, in 1483. The sons of Edward IV were confined to the Tower of London by their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, who was appointed as their guardian after their father's sudden death. Initially, this was supposed to be a temporary arrangement until Edward V could be crowned king. However, the situation took a dark turn when Richard declared the boys illegitimate, seized the throne for himself, and became King Richard III. The last recorded sighting of the princes was in the summer of 1483, after which they vanished from public view, never to be seen again. Their mysterious disappearance has led to some widespread speculation and numerous theories. One prevalent theory suggests that Richard III had them murdered to eliminate any challenge to his rule. Supporters of this theory point to Richard's swift and ruthless consolidation of power, as well as the discovery of two skeletons in the tower in 1674, which some believe to be the remains of the princes. Another theory implicates Henry Tudor, later Henry VII, who defeated Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485. According to this theory, Henry might have had the boys killed after he became king to secure his own claim to the throne. Some suggest that other potential perpetrators, such as the Duke of Buckingham, may have acted independently or in a conspiracy with either Richard or Henry. Adding to the complexity, some historical accounts claim that one or both of the princes may have survived, either through escape or a secret rescue. There were several pretenders in the years following their disappearance, most notably Warbeck, who claimed to be Richard, Duke of York. However, these claims were never substantiated. The intrigue surrounding the princes in the tower is deepened by the scarcity of contemporary records and the police turmoil of the time. Chroniclers of the period such as Sir Thomas More and later Shakespeare have shaped much of the narrative, but their accounts are often viewed with skepticism due to potential biases and the dramatic license taken. Gil Perez. The tale of Gil Perez is a captivating historical mystery that has perplexed scholars and intrigued the public for centuries. According to legend, Gil Perez was a Spanish soldier stationed in Manila at the governor's palace in 1593. On October 24th of that year, following a taxing duty during a period of significant political turmoil after the assassination of Governor Gomez Perez das Marinas by Chinese pirates. Perez reportedly felt exhausted and leaned against a wall, only to find himself suddenly transported over 9,000 miles to Mexico City's Plaza Mayor, now known as Zocalo. Upon his unexpected appearance in Mexico City, Perez, still wearing his uniform, was disoriented and unaware of his surroundings. He was detained by local authorities under suspicion of desertion, possibly being a servant of the devil due to the inexplicable nature of his arrival. His story initially met with skepticism until a ship from the Philippines arrived months later, confirming the assassination of the governor and corroborating Perez's account of his last moments in Manila. Recognized by passengers who had seen him the day before in Manila, his story gained some credence. Despite this, the exact nature of his sudden appearance in Mexico remained unexplained, with some attributing it to supernatural or even paranormal phenomena, such as teleportation or alien intervention. Perez was eventually released and returned to his duties in the Philippines, where he continued his service without further incident. The story, first popularized in historical accounts and folklore compilations from the early 20th century, has been discussed and debated by historians and enthusiasts of the paranormal alike. Notably, the first detailed account appeared significantly after the event supposedly took place, casting doubt on the authenticity of the narrative. However, it remains a popular example of alleged supernatural occurrences in historical records. Tier 3. Scepter of Dagobert. The Scepter of Dagobert, part of the French crown jewels and often regarded as one of their oldest components, has a rich and intriguing history dating back to the 7th century. Crafted during the reign of King Dagobert I, it is attributed to the master goldsmith Saint Eligas, also known as Eloy de Noyon. The scepter, exquisitely made of gold, was a symbol of royal authority, stored in the Basilica of Saint Denis, a site significant for its connection to French royalty and history. The scepter was a complex artifact consisting of a rod, a hand holding the world, and a statuette at the top, which is considered the oldest part of the scepter. The top part of the scepter featured a man seated on a flying eagle, a motif common in apocalyptic imagery of that time, suggesting a form of divine sanction or royal apostasis, common to early medieval regalia. Despite its historical and artistic value, the Scepter of Dagobert was lost during the tumultuous times of the French Revolution. In 1795, it was reported stolen from the Basilica of Saint Denis and has never been recovered. This loss added a layer of mystery and speculation about its whereabouts, contributing to its legend as a lost treasure of France. Agent 355. Agent 355 was a mysterious figure from the American Revolutionary War, believed to be part of the Kuiper spy ring, a secret network that provided information to George Washington. The code 355 was used within the Kuiper ring's extensive cipher system, generally referring to a lady. The true identity of Agent 355 has never been definitively confirmed, and much of what is known about her comes from a combination of historical records, speculations, and folklore. The only historical document that explicitly mentions the 355 comes from a coded letter dated August 15, 1779, in which Abraham Woodhull, the chief operator of the Kuiper ring, mentioned the assistance of a 355 during his espionage activities in New York. This vague reference has led to various interpretations and theories about her identity and role within the spy network. The most popular theory suggests she might have been Anna Strong, a known associate of the ring who used laundry as signals for spy communications. However, some historians argue that this woman might have been a high society figure with access to British officers rather than a full-time spy. There are also romanticized stories suggesting that Agent 355 was caught by the British, imprisoned on the HMS Jersey, a notorious prison ship, and possibly died there after giving birth to a child, allegedly fathered by a fellow spy. These accounts, however, are largely unsubstantiated by primary historical evidence, and are debated among scholars for their authenticity. The narrative of Agent 355 as a spy was significantly impacted the war effort, including her alleged involvement in exposing Benedict Arnold's treason as to her legendary status, but remains speculative due to the lack of solid historical proof. October 8, 1871 fires. On October 8, 1871, multiple devastating fires occurred across the Midwest, the most famous being the Great Chicago Fire and the Peshtigo Fire in Wisconsin, both of which resulted in significant destruction and loss of life. The Great Chicago Fire ignited in the evening, reportedly starting in a barn owned by Patrick and Catherine O'Leary. Although folklore blames the O'Learys' cow for kicking over a lantern, the story is widely disputed and regarded as fabricated. The fire rapidly spread due to dry conditions and the abundance of wooden buildings, leaving about 300 people dead, destroying over 17,000 structures, and displacing 100,000 residents. Despite the immediate devastation, Chicago quickly undertook rebuilding efforts, spurring significant economic and population growth and leading to its development into a major metropolitan city. Simultaneously, the Peshtigo Fire in Wisconsin, the deadliest wildfire in American history, claimed around 1,200 to 2,400 lives and scorched about 1.5 million acres. It engulfed the town of Peshtigo and surrounded areas without warning. Fueled by severe drought conditions, high winds, and flammable debris from extensive logging activities, the intensity of the fire created its own weather conditions, exacerbating the disaster. In Peshtigo, the catastrophe left a profound mark, with only one building surviving and many victims being buried in mass graves due to the extent of the burns that made it impossible to identify them. Both fires were influenced by similar weather patterns, including a strong wind system that helped spread the flames. The Peshtigo fire in particular demonstrated the dire consequences of poor land and fire management practices prevalent in the 19th century, which contributed to the fire's rapid spread and high mortality rate. Sleepers of Ephesus. The legend of the Seven Sleepers of Ephesus is a captivating tale shared across Christian and Islamic traditions, symbolizing the theme of resurrection and a divine intervention. According to the legend, during the reign of the Roman Emperor Decius, around 250 CE, 7 young Christian men sought refuge from persecution in a cave near Ephesus. To escape capture, they fell into a miraculous sleep within the cave. When the cave was finally opened centuries later, during the reign of either Theodosius II around 447 CE or later, the men awoke, believing they had slept for only a day. Their awakening was seen as a sign of the resurrection and a reaffirmation of faith. In Christianity, this story emphasizes the promise of resurrection, which was a powerful motive in early Christian art and literature. It gained widespread popularity through texts like the Gloria Martyrum, and was further embellished in the Golden Legend during the Middle Ages, establishing a specific date for their awakening in 478 AD. In Islamic tradition, the story is mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf, where it serves as a sign of God's power to preserve life. The exact number of sleepers isn't specified in Islamic texts, and the narrative focuses on themes of faith and divine protection over centuries. It also acts as a reminder of the resurrection and the Day of Judgment. The site linked to the Sleepers legend, located near Ephesus, became a significant pilgrimage destination, reflecting the story's deep resonance across different cultures and epochs. Prester John. Prester John is a figure shrouded in the midst of medieval legends, symbolizing the Europeans' hopes for a Christian king in the East who could aid in the Crusades against the Muslim world. The legend began to circulate in Europe around the 12th century, with Prester John portrayed as a powerful and wealthy Christian monarch whose kingdom was said to be filled with marvelous creatures and vast riches, located somewhere beyond Persia and Armenia. The first significant mention of Prester John is found in the chronicles of Bishop Otto of Freising in 1145. He described a Christian monarch who had defeated Muslim rulers in battle, which sparked European imaginations and hope that this distant Christian king could become an ally. This account, however, was based on confused reports, and there is evidence suggesting that Otto might have conflated different historical figures and events from Asia, including the defeat of the Seljuks by the Kara Kitai under Yelu Dashi, a Buddhist ruler. The myth of Prester John was fueled significantly by a letter that appeared around 1165, supposedly written by Prester John himself. This letter was widely circulated in various languages and described a utopian kingdom rich in gold and populated by fantastic creatures. It claimed that Prester John ruled over a vast realm and maintained a splendid court. However, this letter is now considered a forgery, likely concocted to bolster Christian morale during the Crusades. Despite its dubious origins, the legend had a lasting impact on European exploration and colonialism. It inspired explorers, including the Portuguese, to venture into Asia and Africa from the 15th century onwards, searching for Prester John's kingdom, which they hoped would help in converting Muslims to Christianity and aiding in the fight against Islamic powers. The Portuguese explorers, influenced by this legend, even reached Ethiopia, confusing its Christian monarch with Prester John. Tarrare. Tarrare, a Frenchman born in the late 18th century, is remembered for his extraordinary and seemingly insatiable appetite. He could consume vast quantities of food, including items that are not typically considered edible, such as stones and live animals. His condition was not only a source of public fascination, but also of medical interest, as no one could explain his unusual cravings. From an early age, Tarrare's appetite was so great that his parents could not support his eating and had to turn him out of their home. He later traveled with a band of thieves and prostitutes before joining a traveling charlatan, for whom he performed by swallowing objects to draw crowds. His eating abilities were so renowned that he could eat meals intended for 15 people or more. Tarrare's medical condition puzzled doctors. Despite various examinations and experiments, including eating items like a wooden box with documents inside as part of a military espionage operation, no conclusive explanation was offered for his capabilities. His physical health suffered, characterized by a foul stench and chronic diarrhea, which was noted to be fatigue beyond all conception. During his time with the French army, Tarrare was unable to satisfy his hunger with standard military rations and was hospitalized due to exhaustion. At the hospital, he was studied extensively. Doctors fed him various items to test his digestive system, only added to his legendary status. Unfortunately, ended tragically in a hospital in Versailles after he succumbed to tuberculosis, marked by severe fever and continuous health deterioration. Count of Saint Germain. The Count of Saint Germain is a figure enveloped in mystery and intrigue, with numerous stories accentuating his supposed immortality and myriad talents. His real name and origins are shrouded in obscurity, and he is said to have appeared in European high society in the mid-1700s, captivating many with his wide array of abilities and profound knowledge in various fields including science, alchemy, and the arts. Saint Germain was also known for his extensive travels throughout Europe, where he frequented royal courts and social circles, always maintaining a youthful appearance despite the passage of years. He claimed to possess the secret to eternal life, fueling legends about his immortality. His skills were diverse. He was an accomplished musician and linguist, fluent in many languages, and his knowledge in the sciences made him a subject of both admiration and skepticism among his contemporaries. Despite his apparent transparency in social settings, Saint Germain often hinted at a mysterious past. He would speak of historical events as if he had experienced them firsthand and made allusions to his extraordinary longevity. This led to various speculations about his true nature, ranging from being a nobleman with a lost heritage to an eternal being with knowledge beyond conventional understanding. Saint Germain's death was recorded in 1784. However, sightings and claims of his presence persisted well into subsequent centuries, adding to his enigmatic legacy. His life continues to be a significant point of fascination, inspiring countless stories and theories that blend historical facts with mystic dimensions. His persona is often cited in discussions related to esotericism and the occult, and he remains a pivotal figure in many spiritual and mystical circles today. The Lost Mine of Ophir. The Lost Mine of Ophir, steeped in biblical history, has been a subject of fascination and mystery for centuries. It is famously associated with King Solomon, who reputedly received vast quantities of gold from Ophir, fueling his era's immense wealth. Historical texts, including the Bible, mention the voyages to Ophir took 3 years and returned with gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks, suggesting a land of considerable riches and exotic goods. However, the exact location of Ophir remains undetermined, with theories proposing places as diverse as Africa, the Middle East, and even the Americas. In Africa, Great Zimbabwe and the African shore of the Red Sea are prominent candidates. Great Zimbabwe was a major center for trade in gold during the Renaissance, which some scholars believe could be Ophir. Similarly, the vicinity of the Red Sea, known for its ancient gold mines and trade routes, has been another possible location, linked by some to the Afar region in Ethiopia, known for its Danakil Desert. In Asia, historical connections between the Hebrew Bible and ancient Indian texts have led some to argue that Ophir might be located in India or even further east towards the Philippines, supported by a 16th century Spanish document that outlines a route passing through India and various Southeast Asian islands to a land rich in gold. The Americas have also been considered as a potential location, with some 16th century theories suggesting Peru or Brazil as Ophir, citing pre-Columbian transoceanic contacts.